I'm Max Sterling. Welcome to LarpMix. A little while back, Tesla debuted their Cybertruck, and growing up playing Shadowrun for just decades and playing cyberpunk and just being in love with the dystopian and like cyberpunk genre and setting, I knew that I had to have this thing the moment I saw it. People tell me it's ugly, it's stupid, they try to tell me all kinds of BS, but as soon as I saw that thing, I knew I had to have it because I could just imagine myself slipping into it and driving off into the neon sunset with my synthwave music playing, and it's just going to be incredible. The problem is, where am I going to come up with the cash to buy this thing? I really don't want to take out a big loan for it, but I really want it. I don't think I've really ever wanted a vehicle so much in my life just because it's so different and interesting, and I've actually been looking at electric vehicles, and I appreciate where the future is going. So the Cybertruck really spoke to me, especially considering how fast it is and powerful that it is, and just all of the interesting features. And I don't care if the glass breaks or not. If I threw a bowling ball at any of my cars I have now, it would go straight through anyways. So that little stuff doesn't concern me. I would want the truck even if it just looked like that and was a piece of junk. Plus, I would much rather give my money to Elon Musk than Ford or GM or Toyota or whoever, because I feel like that dude is making steps towards progress, towards the future. My personal opinion. So, what the heck does me buying a Cybertruck have to do with LARPing? Well, as far as this truck, I decided I want to start saving money for it. And a lot of the techniques I'm going to use to save money will help you meet your financial goals. I hear tons of people complain about not having money for LARP. There's a lot of teenage kids, a lot of college kids, but I also know a lot of older individuals that also have trouble coming up with money for gaming. And a lot of them are single parents, you know, that are kind of struggling, but they still want to be involved in the hobby. And, you know, even though there are a lot of LARPs out there that aren't very expensive, and some of us may not consider like $25 US a big hurdle. For some people, $25 US is a serious number to try to overcome. And we need to be understanding of that just not everybody can even come up with 20 bucks. For some people that are very fixed on their incomes and stuff, even having an extra $20, $30, $50 is very difficult for them to do. And that's why I want to offer some suggestions to folks. Now, for me, I have a much more lofty goal, and I would love to just walk in there and just pay cash for this thing, but I sincerely doubt in the next 2 years I'm going to be able to raise that kind of money with the suggestions I'm making. However, if I was just trying to buy, say, like $100 or $200 custom foam weapon, if I was trying to buy some custom armor for my kit, or something just, you know, really cool, like for a prop, or something for cosplay, or a video game, or a gaming rig, or, you know, a new computer, or whatever, all of these tactics are sound for just saving money. You decide what you want to spend it on: house down payment, car, rent, pets, donation, whatever you want to do with it. These are great tips to follow. So, one thing I noticed walking around my job is that there's always change on the floor. I don't like picking it up because I'm a little bit of a germaphobe, and picking up dirty change off the ground freaks me out a little bit. So I'd always just walk past it, and I'd see other people walk past it and just kick it under stuff. I would see the cleaning crews and stuff come around, they would just vacuum it up. It's like, I'm not picking up a penny or a nickel or sometimes even like a quarter. They just vacuum it up and throw it away. Because, you know, first world problems, right? It's so inconveniencing to bend over and pick up a penny, it's literally not worth your time to do so. Now, after I witnessed this for a few months, I started to think, you know, I bet you that's probably like $5, maybe $6 that these people have just kicked around or vacuumed up and thrown away. If I picked up every one of those coins and saved them, you know, I'd have probably enough to buy lunch right now. And once I pre-ordered the Cybertruck, I revisited that sort of epiphany that I had and realized that that's a good way to save money. So I've started saving, and this is just recent. I have an empty jug that iced tea came in. It's a 59 fluid ounce container, so if you want to have the same size I do here, and I've already filled it this much, so this is halfway. Now, I have collected money like this in the past, and I know that once I fill this, it's about $100 US. Often it's more than that, but it's probably at least $100 US once this is filled, assuming it's not all pennies. You know, that's assuming like a fair mix of coins. Now, what I've been doing is any spare change I get from whatever I throw in here, but also any change I find on the ground, because it's free money, I pick up and put in here. Now, I carry around like a latex glove or two with me in case I find it, so I can slip that on real quick, pick it up, and then just turn it inside out with the money inside. And that way, I'm not freaked out by being filthy or something. But I found quite a few little sort of, I don't know, look like someone just like blasted someone and there's just coins everywhere, like a video game. I found a couple situations where there was maybe like $1 in coins just on the ground, so I picked them all up, and now they're in this little jug here. So that's going to be basically about $100. Something else I started doing, because I bought a small pickup truck over the summer, and this is also why I want the Cybertruck. I just bought this small pickup truck, and it's not really doing what I wanted it to do, so I feel like I'd like to have a little bit more powerful truck, and that's sort of what got me thinking about it. But my little truck for now is good, but I noticed a lot of people throw a lot of stuff away at my work sort of illegally. So whenever I leave, I walk past the dumpsters, and there's always stuff sitting out there, stoves, refrigerators, all kinds of crap. I mean, a lot of times it's just trash bags and garbage, but sometimes I see appliances and metal and stuff, and I thought to myself, I could probably scrap that or sell it. And I don't know if where you live does scrapping, but I mean, basically you take it to the junkyard and then they pay you for the metal content. And I asked, my owner, what's up with that stuff, and he said that's just people illegally dumping the stuff. He's like, it's a pain in the butt every week because they don't know what to do with it. The trash collectors won't take it because it's not in the actual container, so it becomes a burden for them. So I asked him, just if there's anything metal over there, can I have it? And he said yeah. So in my truck right now, I have a filing cabinet, I have a whole bunch of just random sheet metal and some aluminum and stuff that was laying there the other day, and I almost have a whole truck bed full of metal. And even though the prices for scrap is pretty low where I'm at, it's like $2 per 100 pounds, so it's horrendously low. Maybe where you're at it's better, because if it was like $8 or $10 per 100 pounds or something astronomical like that, it would add up pretty quick. My truck, once I got maybe 1,000, 2,000 pounds of metal, I'll drive it out to the scrapyard and cash it in, and get a little bit of money. I mean, it may only end up being $20 or so, maybe $40, but it's basically free money, because all I got to do is just, on my way home, stop, throw the stuff in my truck, and then drive home. I mean, I have a cap on the back of it, so it just stays in there anyways. It's not really a big deal. But a while back, like 2 weeks ago, I found some copper wire that was out there. And there was a lot of it. It was like an entire garbage can full of copper wire. And I took it out there, and it was a lot of money. It was actually a really good payday. I think for anybody, just to pick it up and sort of drive it there would have been worthwhile. Now, I found out later that if it had been stripped down, it would have been worth 4 times as much. So basically, that garbage can full of wire could have been worth almost $500 to me. Of course, I didn't really have any way to strip it down, so I just sold it, still in the plastic sheath that it comes in. But it was still pretty lucrative, I'm not going to lie. But the next time I see copper wire like that, I'm going to know to try to figure out a way to strip it down, because that could have been a pretty significant sum of money. Now, you may say, but I don't want to pick up dirty crap. I don't want to go in people's trash and stuff, and that's fine. But there are things like Craigslist, and there's online sites where people do curb alerts and they leave stuff out, and you can go pick it up, and there's people that give away stuff for free. And those are all good ways to do it. One time I picked up a riding tractor, and I resold it. This was many years ago. One time I picked up a stove, and I didn't say trash it, I scrapped it. It didn't pay very much. I think it was like $10. That probably wasn't worth my time to do it alone. But if you have a whole truck full of stuff, it can be worth your while. If you already scrap, hey, good job. You know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've never thought of or tried it before, it might be something to consider. Even just the trunk of your car. If you can find some heavy pieces of metal, like an engine block or something, or some car rotors, you probably got a couple $dollars worth of scrap there. Just be careful loading and unloading it, because that stuff does get very, very heavy. And of course, if you're going to go get free stuff or do those curb alerts and stuff, make sure it's a safe area, you're safe, maybe take someone with you, don't do anything illegal, and of course be very careful when you're doing it, but it's a good way to make extra money. There was a period of my life when I was very poor, and I actually sold plasma just to buy money for food and gasoline. And I would go to this plasma clinic and I would sell my plasma every other day, because you were only allowed to go every other day. I would have gone every day if they allowed it, but there was only one clinic in that town, so I couldn't like do 2 clinics, which I think a lot of people do sometimes. But I'd go, I'd sell it, get my money. I would go buy, I think at that time it was like a #2 combo at Burger King, and I would put the rest of the money into my motorcycle for gasoline, and that's what got me by. And it was a very poor time of my life. I'm through it now, but it was a way to make money. If you really are dedicated and you really want to LARP, you really want to buy some piece of kit that you know you can't afford, it may be something to consider. I mean, it would be more noble if you donated it, but it's still a pretty noble cause, because that stuff goes to help people, save lives and stuff. And it's not the same as your blood, it's just the plasma from the blood, so it's kind of creepy. They suck it out, pull the stuff apart, and put the other stuff back in. So it's a little bit freaky, but usually if you go to those places, there's a big payout the first couple times you go. They usually have referral fees if you can convince a friend or a roommate or something to go. And you can probably make 100, maybe 200 bucks the first couple times you go, which isn't bad. If you're only trying to buy like one latex sword or a piece of kit or, you know, some sort of armor, that may be all you need to do, but it's something to consider. Do that, maybe coupled with saving your change, maybe coupled with doing some scrapping. I mean, it's very easy for you to come up with a couple $100, you know, probably in a few weeks, maybe a few months. Now for me, what I do is I'm going to take all that extra money, all that extra free money. I'm not going to sell plasma. I don't have time to do that, and I'm not that desperate for the money, but I'm just giving some ideas. I'm going to take all this money and put into a high interest account. Now, high interest, unfortunately, at least in the US, is probably like around 2%. Now you can put this into a CD. If you know you're going to be trying to save up for like 2 or 3 years, like me with the Cybertruck, I have basically 2 years, I could invest into a CD if I have all the money now, which I don't. The better way for me to do it was to open a high interest savings account. Now I just went online, I searched for, you know, high interest savings account. I picked the highest interest saving account that was there. It's all done online. So when I get all this money, what I do is I take it, I invest it into my regular account, and then I pull it from there and put it into this high interest savings account that is online, and it just sits there collecting interest. Right now I think I have $10 in the account, which is change that I had already laying around. So I put that $10 in, and I'm working towards getting this, you know, obviously. So once it's in there, and by the way, the account I invest in, it gives a 1.7% I think right now, which sounds like garbage, and it is, but that's probably about as high as you're going to find as far as a savings account is concerned. If you find higher, go for it. But for me, this online one at 1.7 was about as good as it gets, so the money's in there. And that'll continue to earn me a little bit extra free money, basically, over the course of the 2 years that I'm doing this. And it's something you should definitely consider as well. As far as other ways to make money, you can definitely work some overtime at your job. If you have a job that offers overtime, go ahead and work it. Even 15 minutes a day extra, you know, an extra hour a week or 2 hours a week, that adds up pretty quick. And then you could just have, if you have direct deposit or something, you could just pull that money from your existing paycheck and have it just split off into that separate savings account. That way you never really miss the money. If it's coming directly from your paycheck already, just being put directly into the other account, you never even know it's gone. For me, I can't stand what I do, so I'm not going to work any overtime. But what I'm going to do is have a little bit of my paycheck just sort of siphoned off into that account. I don't know if I'm going to do like 20 bucks or 40 bucks, but I'm going to pick a number that I don't think I'll miss and just have it pulled directly into that account each pay period. And that'll add up over time. So I've given you some ideas on how you can save money, whether it be for LARP, whether it be for life, or whatever goal you're working towards. I hope that this is helpful. If you already know all these ideas, why aren't you doing them? If you don't know these ideas, then hopefully maybe you can put some of them into play. At the very least, throwing your change in a jar I think is very smart. There's also apps that you can get on your phone and stuff that will actually round off credit card transactions and put them into an account for you. And that's cool if you do a lot of sort of like electronic stuff, and if you actually don't use cash a lot, that may be something to try as well. I know that that adds up pretty quick too, because just every transaction, it basically rounds up to the next dollar, takes that money and slides it into an account. It's very effective, and you will accumulate money pretty quickly, especially if you do shop and spend a lot with your credit cards. That may be something to even do in conjunction with saving your change. If you work at a job where you get tips, all the change goes into that jar. Keep the cash, change in the jar, and then go cash it in. If you cash it in, I have a bank near me that will count the money for free through a change machine. If you don't have a bank that'll do that for you for free, find some place that's very cheap, or hand roll it if you have to. The machines that count the change, they used to be pretty legit. They only charge you maybe 2% to do it, which isn't bad. If you're getting $100 worth of change counted, just the amount of time it's going to save you, to pay $2 for that, yeah, that's a good deal. Why wouldn't you do that? Now though, I've seen their change machines upwards of 12 and 15%. If you're going to count $100 for me, I'm not really trying to pay you $12, $15 out of that 100. I mean, it's free money, but I'm not going to be that reckless with it. If you can't find another alternative and you don't feel like counting it, then go ahead and do whatever you got to do, but try to find a machine that'll do it for free, or at least the one that has the lowest percentage that it skims off for doing the job. And those are pretty much my money saving tips for you. You could also, try the stock market and stuff if you want, but I think short term you're probably going to lose more than you're going to gain from that. So I would realistically probably just find a decent interest savings account and throw it in there. But hope you found this video interesting. I hope you liked this video. I hope that it helps you no matter what your goal is. If it did, click like. Please subscribe to the channel. Let me know how things are going. If you try any of these ideas, let me know how they work out for you. I'm going to do an update in 2 years. We'll see exactly how much I saved up for this Cybertruck. When I do finally get that puppy, I'll post some pictures on Instagram or something. But I'm shooting for like a 2-year time frame for the one I ordered, and we'll see how far we can get. If you start with me right now today, this is going to be one of those videos. If you act now, if you start with me as soon as you view this video, start saving, make yourself a change jar. If you see scrap, pick it up, especially if it's copper wire or copper of any kind. Copper usually tends to get you good money. Work a little bit of OT, start a separate savings account and start siphoning money into it. Then together, we're going to be in pretty good shape here a couple months, a couple years down the road. Just let me know how that works out for you. Thank you for watching. Please let your friends know that I'm here making these videos, trying to be helpful to you in life and in LARP. And of course, as always, adventure on. Oh man. If I fill this jar up 400 times, I can pay for my Cybertruck. So I've got to fill this up 400 times in 2 years. That's like, what is that, like every other day I have to fill this? Lofty goals.